Hi folks, before we begin, please be aware that we are recording this webinar. If you have any questions about the resources, we encourage you to follow up via email at support@electionsgroup.com. Thank you all for joining us today. My name is Annie, and I'm an election expert with the Elections Group.
And I'm Rebecca, a Communications and Program Manager for the Elections Group.
For those of you who may be joining us for the first time, the Elections Group is an election administration consulting firm. We partner with state and local election officials to implement new programs or improve processes for voters and stakeholders. We provide guidance, resources, and direct management support for jurisdictions. Our team is made up of former election officials and election experts from across the United States. We're pleased to have you all with us today for our next highlight of resources for the election administration community. Each week, we'll showcase resources from the Elections Group paired with resources from other organizations in the election space. Every 4 weeks, we'll focus on a different topic and we'll take a deeper dive into the resources available each week.
This month, we will focus on election administration, specifically due diligence. And this week, we are highlighting our Exploring Election Audit series and the EAC's Quick Start Guide to Post-Election Audits. Let's go ahead and get into the resources. Alrighty. The Election Group's Exploring Election Audit series helps election officials identify principles, standards, and audit best practices that apply to the entire election administration process, not just voting machines and tabulation equipment. These recommendations are grounded in the belief that there are opportunities to increase accuracy and public trust by auditing everything from the voter registration process to the way that ballots are accounted for and reconciled. We recognize that we are not the first organization to introduce the idea of principles or make recommendations to improve election audits. We hope that this report builds on the work that has already been done and opens the door for further collaboration in building standards, including audit standards for election administration. We suggest a new framework for conducting election audits. Under this framework, election administrators and other qualified auditors would conduct both pre- and post-election audits of various important election administration processes, not just the machines that count the votes. The framework includes a set of standards and principles for conducting election audits. These principles and standards lead to audits that are conducted ethically and independently that produce clear, evidence-based reports. Implemented effectively, this audit framework will help election officials improve their processes and procedures while enhancing public confidence in our elections. So the first report gives an overview of the current election audit landscape. It then advocates for a new election audit framework that uses principles and standards developed by a bipartisan group of election officials to develop and conduct high-value election audits. The second report provides election administrators with standards and methods for implementing high-value election audits. For each audit, the report provides background information, applicable standards, information on who should conduct the audit and when, and the processes and procedures. Download our series to get started today.
Thanks, Rebecca. The EAC's Quick Start Guides are intended to familiarize local election officials with various topics they will likely encounter in election administration. The guides are a starting point to identify areas of concern and give officials a broad idea of factors they should consider in approaching a given topic. The EAC's Post-Election Audits Guide provides a framework for election officials to ensure accuracy and transparency in verifying election results. It suggests using well-defined procedures, strict security, and clear communication with the public. Key steps include documenting procedures, securing chain of custody, confirming ballot secrecy, and appointing a staff liaison for public inquiries. This guide emphasizes transparency through public observation, prompt reporting, and a final audit report detailing any discrepancies and improvements. This approach builds public trust and verifies the reliability of election results. Check out the guide today. We also wanted to highlight some examples in the wild of election offices across the country who are doing some really amazing work. The Cuyahoga County Election Audits website is a strong model for reporting election testing and audits, especially from an election administrator's perspective. It details logic and accuracy, LNA testing, and post-election audit procedures through step-by-step guides, videos, and downloadable resources. The site's transparency and practical guidance help administrators ensure election integrity, correct potential errors, and increase voter confidence. This format provides an effective, standardized approach that other jurisdictions can adopt. Kudos to Cuyahoga County, Ohio, and keep up the great work. And that's a wrap for today. Thank you to everyone for joining us, and thank you to Rebecca for a great discussion. The resources mentioned in today's discussion have been shared. As always, our inbox is open if you have any additional questions. Please email us at support@electionsgroup.com. Thank you, and we'll see you next week.